Reincarnation. Let's look at this. Reincarnation and the case of Hammons. Reincarnation stirs a bit of controversy among people. It does, and there is something to it. There's lots of people who have memories of being something before they do, and but there's some people who say, it's not real. There's no way it's real. That reincarnation is of the devil. That's what they say. It's of the devil. Well, why does it have to be of the devil? Why can't there be really something to reincarnation? Because something doesn't truly add up. It does not. And I know that this is not going to be a popular subject that we're supposed to be talking about, but it has been talked about. It has. By people, by psychologists, psychiatrists, you name it, they have talked about it. They have.
This is the quickest
Whoopsie, Gina, honey, come on. Y'all, let me try to get this thing rolled down. You may not see my voice right. You may not see me right there, but okay, I got it. I'm going to put my face on there now. I am. I'm just messing with this silly thing right here. I've got to get it going, you all. Reincarnation. And some would say it's not biblical. Why wouldn't it be biblical? Really, why wouldn't it be biblical? Hello, Applebrooks, honey. Reincarnation and the case of, this is really neat, the case of Hammons. Now let's talk about Hammons. I'm going to take you over to the article, is what I'm going to do. I got to get these socks off my feet before my feet get hot. I do. If you're just tuning in, if you don't want to hear about it, this video is not for you, and that's okay. It is all right. It truly is. This is from Evaluating. Let's look at this. Evaluating the evidence for reincarnation. Can deceased people somehow be reborn in a different body? Is it possible? Is it possible? I think it is possible. I never heard of it before in my life until, Gina, what's going on here? Until this journey began. I never heard of it before. I didn't. Nobody talked about it. You didn't hear about it in church. The only thing I remember about reincarnation in church was, I'm going to pull up the verse. I'm going to pull up the verse. The only thing that, this is what I remember of it. It was in Mark. Mark 9:13, you all. This is the only thing I've really saw about it. And if you look at this right here, 9:13. But I tell you that Elijah has come, and they did to him whatever they pleased, as it is written of him. He came. He came. And I think this had something to do with Elijah. John the Baptist and Elijah is what it was. So this was the only thing I could really like kind of say, well, that could have been something like that. It could have, in that biblical reference of it. I could say that. Like John the Baptist, he was the Elijah that was to come, and you did to him whatever you wanted to do to him, which wasn't really very nice. It wasn't. Let me see this to show you that this is not a subject that we should be talking about. Look at this. No notification goes out. You had a near-death experience, Rose, 25 years ago. Yeah. It's really interesting if you've heard some people give their near-death experience, because they got YouTube channels that do that. And it's pretty wild. It's really, really wild. Let me put it right back to this screen. There are many cases of young children, this is what the real thing is, There are many cases of young children who report very specific details of an apparent past life which are later verified. So if they're later verified, then how can that be? Very young children. And then you know how, let me put this to me. I want to get this screen on here, to adjust the screen. Where am I at on here, you? I want to do this to split screen and put me up here. I'm just gonna bring me down, maybe to like right there, just as long as I don't get too far in the way. And I'm gonna put it back on me, and then I'll put it back on that. Let me see if I can do it again. Let's see how this goes right here. You can fly. Yeah. Okay, we got this. So young children report very specific details. Let's do it like that. Of an apparent past life, and they are later verified. Some claim that the children's reports of past lives could be the result of a fraud, imagination, or embellishment. See, just go ahead and dismiss things that you do not want to explain because you can't explain. So go ahead and dismiss it, just like the UFOs you are. This is like another case of UFOs and aliens and stuff. You have a disinformation campaign that is sent out there. I wonder who's in charge of this one right here. Really think about it. Who's in charge of this one? One striking case of a past life recall is Ryan Hammons, who made 55 very specific statements about a previous life that were verified. Welcome, everyone. The idea of reincarnation never sat particularly well with me, this person says. Oh, I'm just going to do the screen because my nose is trying to itch you out. It really is. This did not sit well with him. And this is some. Look at this. Let me see if I get this. All right. I used to think it was too neat and simplistic, a variation of the Christian reward or punishment-based afterlife. The idea that good deeds will lead to a better reincarnation in the next life, whereas bad deeds might result in spending your next life as a frog or a worm. There may be maybe it's a soul trap. However, in recent years, I've become aware of well-documented cases of young children who have reported very specific details of a past life, which were later verified by investigators. Research in this area was pioneered by Dr. Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist at the University of Virginia School of Medicine, who spent much of his career collecting and examining such cases, typically between the age of 2 and 4, you all. 2 and 4 years of age. Hello, Susan B. Honey. Hello, Mickey Honey. With a mean age of 35 months. When they say mean, they mean an average age of 35 months. Such children start talking about their previous life, often speaking about events that led up to their death, and sometimes using the present tense as if their previous life was still continuing. In some cases, Stevenson was able to identify the person the child claimed to be and to verify the information by speaking to relatives of the deceased person. Since Stevenson's death, their other researchers have followed his lead, and around 2,500 reports of children's past life memories have been studied. Research has shown that normally the children's reported previous lives ended prematurely and unnaturally, often involving violence, suicide, or an accident. In almost 3/4 of the cases, the previous personality in the term coined by Stevenson died relatively young, and 1/4 died before the age of 15. On average, the previous personalities died 4.5 years before the birth of the children with whom they were associated. That's really interesting. Modern researchers meticulously search for the accuracy of children's accounts, analyzing any possibility that they gained information through more mundane ways or were fantasizing, or that their parents may be embellishing their stories. Often the researchers give the children recognition tests. For example, they show them a set of photos and ask them to pick the one which relates to their previous personality. And they might be shown pictures of houses and asked to pick out the one their previous personality lived in, their other life. Then they might be shown pictures of women and asked to pick which one was their previous own personality's wife. See, this is really, they know. The most well-known contemporary researcher is Jim Tucker, a professor of psychiatry and neurobehavioral science at the University of Virginia. And I'll describe one of the remarkable cases Tucker has investigated here. So we listen at this reincarnation. If you don't believe in this and you don't want to hear it, that's fine. But I think it's really interesting. There's more to this life than meets the eye. And this is not of the devil, okay? But you can think of that if you want, okay? We can't say everything is of the devil, okay? You can't, but I guess if you program to do that, you're going to say it anyhow. You are. Around the age of 4 years old, Ryan Hammons told his mother, Cindy, "I think I used to be somebody else." And whenever they saw the Hollywood sign on TV, Ryan would get excited, saying that was his home, and he wanted to return there. He said that he had been an agent in Hollywood and that the agency had changed the people's names. He talked about dancing on Broadway and living in a house with a large swimming pool. And sometimes when songs came on the radio, he would stand up and start tap dancing. He talked about going to fancy parties with a cowboy man who had a horse that performed tricks and also did cigarette commercials. At school, when he was asked to draw pictures of his home, he would always draw 4 people: himself, his parents, and the old me, he said. So Cindy began to write everything down about Ryan that he told about his past life, and she borrowed books about Hollywood from the local library, hoping that they would help Ryan process his memories. In one book, they found a still old movie called Night After Night. Ryan became very animated and shouted, "Mummy, that's George." "We did a picture together," he said. And he pointed to the man on the side of the photo and said, "And that's me." Ryan had always said that he didn't know the name of his previous personality, and at first Cindy was unable to identify the man he pointed at. However, she found out that the other man was an actor named George Raft. Ryan was 5 years old. His mother made contact with Jim Tucker, who agreed to investigate his claims. A film archivist employed by a TV production company who made a documentary about Ryan identified the man Ryan said was me as Marty Martin, a dancer, an actor, and agent who died in 1964. And when Tucker visited Ryan and his parents, Ryan was asked to pick out the photos of the people and places that related to Marty Martin, which he did successfully. Right there, he did it successfully. Most of Ryan's statements to his previous life had been recorded by his mother before Tucker got involved and before Marty Martin was identified. Some of the statements had already been verified by his mother. For example, she had confirmed the cowboy friend he often spoke about was a man named Wild Bill Elliott. And with Tucker's help, these statements were verified from sources such as public records at national archives, newspapers, obituaries, travel documents. And since Martin was an obscure figure, there was no information about him on the internet, at least at that time. Martin's daughter was contacted and verified the other statements. In total, 55 of Ryan's statements about his previous life were verified. For example, it was confirmed that Marty Martin was once a tap dancer, that he ran a talent agency that changed people's names, that he had several wives, that his favorite restaurant was in Chinatown, that he spent a lot of the time in Paris, that he had a large collection of sunglasses, that he bought his daughter a dog when she was 6, and so on. And when Cindy took him to the beautiful old building where Marty Martin Talent Agency had once been, he said he acted as if he was truly returning home after a long journey. His whole face lit up. A teenager, Ryan no longer has memories of his previous personality, his previous life, but he still seems to carry some behavioral traits from his last life. For example, he loves to watch old movies and listen to Big Bang music from the 40s and 50s. But they've got explanations, you all. They say children have vivid imaginations, is what they say. They fantasize. That's one thing. And they think that maybe the parents overheard them talking about certain people and then they just made it up in their mind. And then they say that maybe the parents made the children say that. They just fed that stuff in there and they just remembered it. They say that too. You other... No. See, here's the problem with that. It really is. There is a problem with it. It's like things that do sound quite plausible. Really, things that sound plausible, they want to say they don't. It doesn't exist. But why? Why would you say that it doesn't exist? Really, look at this. Another amazing story of a reincarnation. This 10-year-old remembers the specific details about a past life. Stillnessstorm.com. So, let me do that. I don't remember any past lives. There are people who do remember a past life. They may not have all the details, but they remember some parts of it. They do. Yeah. Wow, Rose, honey, you're doing great. You're doing great. Look, your consciousness, the ability for your consciousness to survive death and move forward along another path of a person. No, see, I don't like that. Another path of personality evolution. No, I don't like that. Why do they have to call that a personality evolution? The ability of your consciousness to survive death and move forward along another path. Oh, it's called reincarnation. Modern day society based on materialism has rejected the notion of reincarnation as an antiquated belief from primitive times. Antiquated. Okay, you can, I guess you want to say that, you can. Okay, see, they got the Ryan boy on here too, you all. Is there more to that than truly what meets the eye, or what is that? It's like a portal. Spiritual empath, psychic. Some kind of a portal there, you all. Well, truly, if it... So you got reincarnation and resurrection. The reincarnation and your resurrection. Just strange.